Hello everyone and welcome back to the next part of the Alundra 80% speedrun tutorial. So this part, since we are approaching the... First of all, let me skip this cutscene here, because Sybil talks to you, then the cutscene plays of her foreshadowing things again. This part, since we are approaching like the... kind of the halfway point or midway point of the speedrun, and the midway point of the game in general, there are going to be lots of story-related cutscenes and stuff like that happening, so for once the speedrun will become a little bit more chill. In terms of... in the next two dungeons, it is actually impossible to to die, unless you kill yourself with the bomb, for example. So, talking to Mia, heading to this screen, we want to sprint to about here, and then equip bow and wind scroll, and just cast the wind scroll. It will hit a window in the back of the sanctuary, which triggers the cutscene that lets you enter the sanctuary. We don't need to talk to Septimus or anything, we can just do this. So the sanctuary is actually a pretty interesting part of the speedrun because there are two different routes you can do. One requires a sequence break that is a one thing, like you can attempt it once, and if you fail it, you have to go for the standard route. So the first thing we need to do is just entering this room and exiting again. That is to get Septimus into position, so he stands right here. And now the route deviation already starts. So I will put a save state here. Oh. That was a bit of lag for my emulator. But yeah, just putting a save state here so we can show off both routes, since I don't blame you if you don't want to go for this, since it is quite a tricky thing to do. But going for it wastes like 10 to, let's say, 15 or 20-ish seconds if you don't get it. If you get it though, you save 30 seconds. So let me put another save state right here. If we push this stool, a lever is going to drop on the other side, but since the door here is still closed, we can't get to this lever. But you already can guess probably, we are going to shoot this lever while it falls in midair. And the setup to do that is pretty tricky. You basically want to jump as soon as possible once you push the stool, and then start a dash, and dash off of it, dash against this wall, land on the stool, then jump and hit it in midair. And if you did the setup correctly, you will hit it while it falls. So let me try to show it off here. Didn't get it there. Got it there, and this is what it looks like. You basically just hit it while in midair and it opens up this door. So if you don't get it, you basically leave the screen again and then talk to Septimus. Since both routes will eventually merge together, let's just skip this part. This is what you want to do if you either fail it or don't go for it at all. Just talk to Septimus, which he opens up the path to the first part of the sanctuary that you're supposed to enter. Just hit those two buttons here and sprint out again. Now Septimus wants to talk to us, but it would just trigger a trap, so we can skip talking to him here. Instead we're just going to sprint up and in here. And we go for the first book. So opening this door will give us access to the first book, but since we can't get it on our own, we need to get Septimus. In order to do that though, we need to advance a trigger, which just going near the book once is already enough to do the next story advancement trigger. So just sprint like that, make it disappear, and that is already enough. So now we can leave the screen and head towards Septimus again. So now we need to chase the book for good. The order in which the book spawns on the coffins is always the same, so there is no RNG involved into that. Just remember where it will spawn and you only need to follow it then. And I recommend not sprinting, because for once it is slower. And second, it is much easier to just walk. You are in no rush really in order to get this, and even if you would fail it, you don't have to reset the room, you can just try it again, because if you are too slow, the book will just go to its first position again. So I know we need to enter this room. We want to sprint to the end here, and you can do this either with the flail or bow, but since we already have the bow equipped, just shoot through that. And if you went for the early lever strat that I showed off in the beginning of this dungeon, you would have the second book already now, so you can technically just go down, insert the second book, and then finish off this dungeon. But just to show it off, if you don't happen to have that yet, what you need to do is sprint down here, go to Septimus standing here, and then he will open the door that would lead to the lever that we already dropped down, or well, in this save state we haven't dropped it down yet. So now we would need to push the stools again in order to make the lever fall down, and since we can't hit it on the ground with our bow, we want to smack it with your sword. If you go for this strat deliberately, or either because you have to because you didn't get the strat, maybe you want to grab this. It is just another life vessel that acts as in safety. As I said, in this dungeon and the next one, there is no chance to die because there are just no enemies. But it's still a +1 to your maximum health, which is generally a good idea to get. So in this part, the way the stools get pushed is random. And they are very sensitive in terms of, like, I will show it once here, just barely touching them, like, well, maybe this one isn't a good one to show it off. So let me show it on this one, just barely touching it will push it into a wrong direction. So you want to make sure to walk around them and push them into the correct direction. So if you happen to have to get this strat with the lever while it falls down, this is what you want to do first in this dungeon. Just get the second book and then advance the story to the first book and get that one as well, and then hand it both at once. But with the normal route, we now need to go upwards here and insert the second book right here. I just recommend maybe trying with the setup to get it a couple times and see if you're consistent with it, and depending on that, decide whether or not you want to even go for this in a run, because as I said, if you fail it, it is like a 10 to 20-ish second time loss. So now, having access to the upper room here, we can get the key. So we can't step on the carpet because then this lever will disappear and then we have to leave the carpet again to the left. But as soon as we hit the lever, we can walk over the carpet, because if we would step on it now, everything would disappear again. But while the chest falls down after hitting the lever, you can walk over the carpet without having them disappear. I guess it's just the way they coded this. It was too hard to make everything disappear while the chest falls. So yeah, it is a small time save there. Now that we have the key, go back to Septimus, who is at the altar again. And make sure to not talk to Septimus again repeatedly here. I tend to do that because I forget that I have to walk inside the lower part of the sanctuary myself. It is not actually automated that you walk in there. This walk though is automated. You have no control over Alundra here. And that was pretty much already this dungeon. It is a really easy one, a really quick one to do as well. It has one neat strategy though with the early lever. So finishing this dungeon, we are back at Chess's house and there's more story to advance. First of all, we hear Chess hammering again downstairs, which means no need to sprint here, just walk. We get our item, the Power Glove, which it is required once to beat the game, exactly once to enter Mirkwoods. For this route it will be required twice. We also need it to get the legendary sword later. Both of those uses you can't avoid if you want to do this route. So now we got the news that Sybil has died. And that means we need to go to her house first. In which we need to talk to both of the ladies. Just stand on this table and talk to them. Also, I could have sprinted up there. Just to point that out. And sprinting outside again. Then we need to go up here to the graveyard. Because the villagers are very efficient and even though Sybil just barely died, they already want to bury her. We need to talk to all four of them. I recommend talking to those three first and then this guy, because this guy will trigger a cutscene, which we also skip. And now, I don't know why you would do that, but I've seen people do that, casually especially. They sprint out of this graveyard, and if you do that, you softlock, because sprinting will put you further down than just walking. And as you see, I lose control over Alundra here. And if I would stand further down, which the sprint would allow me to do, I would interrupt Septimus's movement, which then he couldn't get to his destination and it would lead into a softlock. But just in case you wanted to dash down there, why ever you would want to do that, don't. So, but don't worry, even though the next dungeon has no enemies in it, and probably you don't have a good memory of it from playing the game casually, in the speedrun this is just loaded with cool strategies, and I think once you start speedrunning this game you will get a different opinion about the next dungeon. Because I think it is a really cool dungeon to do. Also, talking to Septimus you want to make sure it doesn't matter if you don't get the alignment, but rather slide along this tree. But generally you want to stand on the left of Septimus to talk to him here. The reason for that is, depending on whether you talk to the left of Septimus or to the right, Alundra's movement, which is automated here again, will be different in terms of he will stand further to the left or to the right, and if you talk to him to the left you can just hold up and enter the door. Otherwise you would need to kind of go to the left first and then you can enter the door. It is just a little optimization. So now, entering Mia's dream. A really cool dungeon execution wise. First of all, we need to chase down Mia for each section, and then there will be a small puzzle in each section, and then we get a cutscene. So first of all, we need to sprint down here, jump there. First thing we want to do is grab this chest because it has another life vessel. Again, there is nothing really to harm you here, but just having that additional extra maximum health will help you out to survive later on. So the first time Mia hides, she is going to be here. Just talk to her from wherever, and then go up here and sprint into the first door. So the first room is a really trivial one, really easy, nothing to it. Just smack this, go up here, smack this, and then free Mia. Just hitting the statue 3 times, and then entering the cutscene, which we skip the cutscenes in this tutorial. So exiting the room, the second position Mia will be in is we need to go to the bottom left of this screen. Going here, and there she is. Now just dash up here and enter this room. So what you want to do here is you want to equip the bow and just shoot 3 times while standing. Don't do jumping throws, because you can shoot too fast and then Mia will not be hit 3 times, or the statue will not be hit 3 times. And it saves some time, like 2 seconds or so, to do that here. So the first thing you don't want to do is, just to show it off once, you don't want to activate this lever and then jump down, because now we are soft locked. We are stuck underneath the platform, so just jump on it and wait a second to make sure to not get stuck down there. So another thing, just to show it off, a thing you can do is you can do an item carry jump and jump over there. It is very precise and there is no real setup for it, so I don't recommend doing that in runs. But if you feel confident because maybe you are able to find a consistent setup for it, it exists, so you don't even need to do any of the jumping puzzle, don't even need to go for that lever, just jump over there. It saves like, I think, 3 or 4 seconds, and if you fail it, you lose like 15, probably, for exiting and re-entering the room. Also, let me skip that cutscene. I got a little bit caught up in talking there. So yeah, I just pointed out that it is a thing that you can do, but I don't recommend doing it. But maybe you're also interested in trying to find setups and strats for this game, so that would be one. So now, if you watch Mia, she just jumps down there, and that is a thing you don't want to do, because, oh boy, if you jump down there, you have to go around again. And the thing I just recommend doing here is just, as you see, my shadow is slightly over the edge of this platform. That means we can just even make it easier with an item carry jump. But we can just jump straight to the right and we land here. Because those 2 tiles from those 2 platforms are aligned with each other. That's an easy way to make sure to not have to do any diagonal shenanigans and maybe missing it. And same here, just have a little overhang over the platform and you can jump there, which is especially important if you go like this and like this. That way you don't have to worry about doing any fancy jumps, you just jump straight left and get over there and you keep your torch. Another thing is, I see people doing like jumping throws or weird shenanigans and then miss the bush. What I just recommend doing is walk against the wall and throw. Will always work. No need to do fancy things here. Same goes for this, walk against the wall and throw. So now you can either do like this, jump around the corner, or use the second platform. It really depends on how confident you feel with either of the strats. Then we want to switch back to the sword. Oh well, you don't need to switch back to the sword, but I like to do that. And again, skipping this cutscene. So now a thing you can do from this side is, since you're way higher up, you can jump around this corner and land up here. It's a little bit faster to get to the exit of this room. Then the fourth time Mia is hiding, she is hiding in the beginning area where we started this dungeon. She is just here. The chest you see to the right, it has a gilded falcon, so don't worry about it. Now we need to go actually up here. Because we need to jump up here in order to get to the next room. And this is the one and only tree you can jump on in this game. And it is actually faster jumping over it. So this room. First thing you want to do is you want to throw 2 bombs up here. Just 2, because as you just heard it, the statue was hit twice. If you would put 3 bombs on there, you wouldn't hit 3 times. You would still hit 2 times only. And then the last bomb, just throw it from up here onto the statue, and then, as you see, Mia will be free. Also, on the left and the right side, it can be a little bit tricky to jump over to the switch. Just look at the platform where it moves and where the shadow is. If the shadow is right there, in a line with the switch, then you can just jump over. So right there, and then jump back. Right here, just put it on there. Don't need to have space to the left or right, because the barrel is 1 pixel smaller than the switch, so you can just jump straight onto it. Again, skipping this here. Skipping this cutscene. In so many save states, I need to think about which one I need to press. So this time Mia will be in the bottom left corner of the screen. And don't worry about being too slow here, because Mia will never take the first cycle, she will always wait for the next one. So even if you're a bit slower here, you can still be as fast as the fastest cycle. This time we don't have to do any jumping or any platforming, that's why we want to go here. And now, this is the room you may remember to be a really bad one, but there's a setup for the speedrun, which I will show you how it looks like. Dash up here, bonk, hit around here, hit around there, and that didn't work. Good thing I showed it. This is what it looks like, yeah. Usually I don't fail this, but since this is the tutorial, obviously I will fail it. So sometimes what can happen on this side is that you can jump on the first one, but the second and the third one are stacked in a way that you can't jump up. Just jump on the first one and then do this. Don't jump, just hit it with your flail. And the reason why I equipped the flail is not only to get rid of this block in case that the stacking happens, like I can't jump up there, but also the setup requires the flail to be used. You can do a little deviation of the setup and use your sword, but I just recommend using the flail, it makes it much easier. So this time we could already see Mia in the top right, and that means we don't even really need to remember where she is this time around, but this is the sixth and the last room. So we just go here, talk to Mia, and enter the last challenge. Which for the last challenge, there are 2 different strategies that you can use. One is slightly slower than the other one, but much easier. I will show both. So the first strategy looks something like this. For both strategies, you want to equip the bow and free the statue. I will show the slower one first, just to have it shown. So you pick up this torch, jump on this barrel, and throw the torch over there, and then go to the left, and now you can do the platforming. The slightly faster version is equipping the bow as well, free Mia, and it doesn't matter if she is still up there or not. What you want to do is, you just jump there. Oops, let me try that again. I didn't have the statue opened there with the save state, but that's essentially what it looks like. And as you saw, I failed it there a couple times before I got it in the tutorial. And that is why I showed off the slightly slower but much easier strategy, because you have to do a ledge walk and jump around the bush, like you have to jump kind of in a circle around the bush to land on the pixel on the left here. And that's the tricky part. Then jump back over those platforms. If you happen to miss the jumps backwards to the entrance there, just go around it and you have to jump from the left around the corner to the exit. And now we will play I Spot the Cutie Guy. And there's actually some strategy to this, because this part relies on RNG. Because depending on where you stand, she will have a chance to say it always slow or sometimes faster, and you want it to be always slow in order to make this in 2 cycles. So just walk up here and hide here. And now you want to stand where I'm standing. You don't want to stand up here. For once, movement here is a bit weird, because as you see I'm walking up but I'm sliding to the left, and the same would happen down here. Walking down, sliding to the left. So make sure for once to not get pushed too far to the left. And since I'm standing down here, she will always give me the slow text. If I would stand here, she had a chance to give me the fast text, and if she gives me a fast text like right there, I wouldn't be able to make it. So stand here. Be aware that movement around this part, especially jumping upstairs there, is a bit weird. Like, I don't exactly know what's going on. it feels like they completely changed the way Alundra moves, so maybe get used to how it works, and then just try to remember that for your runs. But yes, just standing down there, she will always give you this slow text, and you can make this in 2 cycles. And actually, I'm pretty sure a 1 cycle is impossible, no matter how slow the text is. So we're going a bit further with this tutorial. We're going to also do the next dungeon. This part will be a bit longer, simply because the dungeon after the one that is coming up now is probably going to fill out a full video of this tutorial. So just to avoid having a really long part, we will make this one slightly longer than the standard half an hour. But the next dungeon is also a rather quick one. There's not a lot to cover in it. Dashing down here, you will already lose your control over Alundra going downstairs there, so you don't even need to worry about forgetting to sprint or not. But what we need to do now is Jess tells us to go to Nava's hut, and that is exactly where we want to head, because we are going to get the best item that exists in Alundra world. Sprinting something like this, going down here. Nava is the guy that lives at the beach, in his hut. So Nava gives us the hot dog, or as the game calls it, the spring bean. Spring bean is used much later in the speedrun to sequence break the shit out of the last dungeon. That's how you can best explain it. It completely breaks the last dungeon in this game. Also to mention it as well, because there's nothing to talk about here as of now. The spring bean can be skipped entirely, because there is no required use in this speedrun where we would need to use the spring bean. So also, since it is really just on the way, this is still the optimal path. But since it is on the way and we kind of need it now, we're going to see if we counted right, dying 20 times, and get our legendary sword. So this would be the point where either you counted right to 20 or you didn't and you don't get your sword. Before this point it was not really needed to for anything, since we had our Earth book to take care of most bosses. And this is really like, after Magiskar you get the power glove which is required to go into here, and this is like really the first part where you would need the legendary sword. It is not required for Sanctuary in Mirstream, as there is no combat. So now there are 2 routes. One is 4 seconds, I think it was 4 seconds faster than the other one. The standard route would be, we go to the Earth Book jump that we did to get to Ancient Shrine and get the Earth Book, which is just going north here, if you remember how this goes. The slightly faster version is, we are going here. I just mentioned the second version, the slightly slower one, because going this route is actually much trickier than the first route, because sprinting through this is just a mess, to say the least. As you see, there are lots of corners and everything. So if you don't feel confident in sprinting through that, which I most certainly don't, just don't do that and go the standard route. And we can use a hot dog here again to make this jump easier. And then we are going into the, I think it's called the outlook point, which we are going to attempt the Neuro jump a second time because we can skip the waterway entirely. And this is why I told you, you wanna learn this jump. It saves like 15 minutes getting it twice in the run. Like 5-ish minutes maybe for the Earth book, and then another 10-ish minutes skipping the waterway in the first third of the... And there, I got it first try, in the first third of the Neuro dungeon. Now you want to make sure to not fall down too much. You can fall down here, that's perfectly fine. So we can jump down here. But you don't want to fall down further than this, because down there, depending on where you land, you'll have a bad time. And we want to enter the dungeon from this part. Now we skipped essentially 10 minutes of content. So we want to push those statues out of the way. Jump over those fireballs. I tend to wait here. You can take a damage boost and then climb up the ladder while having iframes. And as you saw, when I was almost at the top of the ladder, I switched from just holding up to up left, and then I landed on here. Then I can just climb up here. From there, jump up to here again, and then, when there are no fireballs, jump up here again. So now there are two ways to do the next part. The first one is you climb up here, and do a short shoulder dash to the left, and another one to the left, and you're on the last pixel. Or if you, let's say you climb up here and go like this, you can bonk into this, and then do a short shoulder dash, and you land here as well on the last pixel. Now you can jump around this corner to get to this part, or the other route you can do, because, you know, this jump around the corner is a bit tricky and doesn't save all that much. Just go here, push that down, and you are up here as well. So I just recommend seeing how consistent you are with this jump and then evaluate whether or not it is viable to go for it in a speedrun or not. So this puzzle here. You want to make sure to not be too fast. Combination is left, right, left, left, right, left. And the way I move here may look a bit weird, as in, why am I not standing right next to the buttons when I need to press them? And yeah, don't be too fast or this puzzle breaks essentially. If I would go like, press, the puzzle would break. And I think it's just the developers messing up at this part. So yeah, just keep in mind to not be fast here, and you will not break this puzzle. So sprinting through here can be tricky for once, because it's likely to bonk like that. And second, you don't want to fall down again. Right here, we're just going to abuse iframes and damage boost over the spikes. Then once we enter this room, we want to walk down a little bit, then turn around and slash our sword to kill two mimics. Like this. I didn't get both. And this red guy always comes up like this. Then get rid of the other two. So now we want to switch to our bow, because we will need it for the next room. Those statues have 15 health. They have 3 different cycles, and each cycle they have 5 health. I tend to have a little bit trouble with timing this properly. And as you see, I'm at low health, but that doesn't mean anything, because for once we don't need magic, so we could heal with the water scroll. Or what I recommend at this part is use your strength elixir, because it is a full heal. The reason why I recommend you to take the the strength elixir, I will point that out later. Well, I can actually point it out right now already. It's because you get a free a free strength elixir in this dungeon. Also, I'm playing really bad here. So if you did both conveyorless and logjam in order to keep 2 keys out of the dungeon, don't get close to this door now, because you can open it with your spare key that you have if you did both of these sequence breaks. And you really don't want to waste it here, because it doesn't save any time really getting out of this room early. So just stand around here, don't get close to this door, which in both cases, if you happen to have the spare key or not, you can't get too close to the door or the boulders won't fall down. So you have to keep a bit of a distance to the door there. I really don't like this room. It is so tight to get between the spikes there. So let me just cast my second magic to be at full health again. Now, even if you happen to have 0 mana here, don't need to worry about it. You will get it back before the next dungeon, but there's the save point right there. Make use of it if you feel like you want, you need it. So for the next part we will need our sword again, which we need to enter this right here. Dash something like this to avoid the fireballs. And now once we're down here, I will deliberately bonk into the statue to get onto a pixel where I'm safe. Nothing can hit me on that pixel ever, so just walk diagonally here, bonk into this, and you have to bonk into this while not pressing right anymore. So once you bonk into the right, stop holding your D-pad and you will land on this pixel where I am now. Then you can just swing your sword, get rid of the first head like this. And now we want to do the same on the left side, so dash like this, bonk into it without holding a directional button, and we will be on the left side on the pixel where we are safe from everything. Oops, I was a bit eager there. Didn't think that would spit another fireball, but you're safe for the 2 next statues here. So now the statue on the top right can technically hit us, but there's really no harm. Just stand somewhere here and hit it, and now, without switching the sides, equip the bow. Just get rid of this statue. Then get rid of the statue down here. And now, you want to be careful here, because this beam in the center here, I think it actually deals... It's something between 16 or 18, I'm not sure entirely anymore, because I haven't been hit by that in forever, since the strats we can use in this room make it really hard to get hit by anything. But yeah, just keep in mind it may one-shot you depending on your current health situation. Which, if you follow this tutorial and you happen to still have your Wonder Essence because you're going the safe route, like the super safe route, even if you would die there, you would get revived with it. Oops, we don't want to get on the shoulder, we want to go down here. So we have to wait a bit here, because if we would go to the right immediately, we would get hit by the wall. And as you saw, I could jump from the wall if it was still high enough to straight up there. But you can also just jump here and then over there. So the reason why I said use your strength elixir is right here. There is one behind the statue. So I'm walking diagonally up left into the statues, that's why I pushed them to the left like this. So for the next room we will need the bomb. Want to sprint to up here and then place a bomb right there, because a miming is going to spawn on this side and we don't want to deal with it with its RNG, because this platform here will disappear and then we cannot cross over it again. So we would need to wait until it would either come to us or just place it here. Now listen closely. Right there, the miming got hit, and once you advance this text, and you gain control again, the miming on the left will be dead. So yeah, you can't fall down from here, that's why we want to get rid of the left one there. Talking to the statue, and although we just got full healed by the statue, there is a life vessel here. Take it, it will take you 8 seconds, 2 for going there maybe, and 6 for opening the chest. And it makes this really safe. Also, be aware this jump is actually closer than it looks like because you're going upwards as well, not only downwards but also upwards. So just to be aware of that. And now for the hardest boss in this entire speedrun, the route. First of all, we have to sprint upwards here. And now, after we advance some text, we just hold down and sprint. Depending on the RNG we get, either a boulder will block our path or we can make it all the way down in one go. Which... I got hit there. So those boulders actually can hurt you. And it is also RNG dependent how many times the route stops. So if you're unlucky, you can lose time here. Isn't that nice? But yeah, that's the boss fight. Just stand down here. Or you don't even need to stand down here, you can also go at him again, but do whatever to entertain yourself. Also throw bombs at him and let the conveyor take it to him, but it doesn't speed up the fight at all. That was the fight already. So you're just advancing some text, and after all the text advancing, this is where I will cut this part of the tutorial. Slightly longer than, as I said, already the usual 30 minutes around. But this is just to prevent for the next video to be even longer than this would have been. So if you want to just go ahead and skip to the next part already, you won't miss anything really, just some text advancing. I will already say thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. And I will just go through this really quick.